on anywhere in the world.
What do you think of the modern problems in the society today? I mean, forget about the world wars and everything. We are talking about, we talk about marriage, we talk about wars. I want to talk something about in between,
What about like alcohol and drinking? Let's pick that one.
Yeah, we'll come to that. In fact,
Yeah.
alcohol, about Islam. Islam doesn't permit it.
Yeah.
So in the Quran, alcohol was gradually, basically prohibited.
Yeah.
It wasn't done overnight. And this is something, again, from a psychological perspective, it's the beauty of how Islam prohibited alcohol. In the 1920s,
they know that it's not good for
I don't know if you know, in the 1920s, the Americans prohibited alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes, do you remember that? I don't know.
It's been illegal, hasn't it?
And what they did was they did it like overnight. So what happened was there was a lot of problems because you can't just do it overnight. Mm-hmm. It's something that has to be done gradually. So even drugs, for example, they don't go cold turkey overnight.
Yeah.
They basically wean them off gradually, and that is the best and the most humane way to do it. So what happened was in 1920 when they prohibited alcohol, they had to then re-implement the rule to allow alcohol in 1933 because it didn't work. I mean, there was a lot of problems.
What about any other drugs? I don't know, MDMA, LSD?
Everything. In Islam, the term intoxication is
Yeah.
used in the Quran. And that includes alcohol, that includes drugs, that includes anything that
weed.
intoxicates you. Everything. Everything.
The
But
word
intoxication.
word in the Quran is khamr. Khamr
Yeah.
is such a comprehensive word.
Yeah.
It basically means anything that alters your normal state of mind.
Okay.
Anything that alters your normal state of mind is prohibited in Islam. Period.
Okay, two examples. I understand intoxication. I understand with alcohol a lot because alcohol doesn't belong to your body. It shouldn't be in your system. It's a really stupid idea to take any alcohol.
Start saying that to anyone in Europe or in America.
But I think a lot of people.
But I understand what you're saying.
Or even,
where you're coming
in your body.
No,
It's really
where you're
intoxicating.
coming from is absolutely right because
Yeah.
there was a recent study done, and this was a huge study, and it is actually published in the Lancet as well.
It's consensus across all the, it's a global consensus on the position. It's their position statement of alcohol that they were trying to find out how much of alcohol is good for you, good for your health.
Yeah.
And the answer is
None.
0%,
Yeah.
none.
The same with a lot of things, like with burgers.
Actually, guys like you are in the
or
minority who
food,
would
like-
actually say what you just said.
Yeah, but
that,
But I don't think that's true.
any
I
amount
don't-
is wrong.
I actually don't think that's true because I have a lot of friends. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and I've realised over the years I feel so much better without, and now I don't need it as much. But I find that a lot of my friends don't drink alcohol, and they've never been interested in alcohol.
But you
so-
see, you basically based your experience on your life.
on my
But what I'm saying is,
experience.
in Islam, this is something that was well known. So most of the
Yeah.
Muslims that I know, yes, they haven't even touched alcohol.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to go through this trial and error. And that is where the beauty of religion comes in, because it tells you what is good for you, because you're
Before
Don't touch
you
it.
do
You're
The
created.
Quran says don't touch it.
But I have a lot of friends who
And-
have
and in the
touched
same-
lots of alcohol,
But
who
can I-
are religious as well.
Can I
Yeah, but
ask-
that's-
can I fo-
I-
go
But that's culture,
where-
you know that. That's not. I don't think
Yeah.
any religion tells you to drink as much alcohol as you want. Yes,
It's
even though in Christianity, I think the
And
drink is like
there is
quite
not
low.
a philosopher
Yeah.
who will argue that alcohol or intoxicants of any kind are beneficial for the society. You know why? Because our past experience has taught us that it is always destructive. 80%.
Actually, I wanted to lead to, because I asked about drugs. Alcohol, I completely agree.
Okay.
I really agree. It's
Don't tell me you agree with drugs.
But we have other drugs
Like-
like marijuana. It's a plant which is.
You know what it does to mind? Have you read any studies
Well,
on
yeah.
it?
No, what
Are you
what
talking
does
about
it do?
weed?
I as a Muslim,
You have.
as a Muslim, I don't need to experiment. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the Quran is telling me don't touch, don't touch.
But it's-
okay. But
No,
for,
no,
your,
no,
for,
one-
for anyone who wants to experiment,
Let him say what he
No,
wants.
no. It's alcohol is a chemical drug. It's a human-made drug, more or
right,
less.
right.
And
Not necessarily.
Alcohol is from grapes.
Yeah, wine is not necessarily chemical.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
doesn't exist like that in nature by
Well,
itself.
It does.
So are you saying you just
It can-
just take the marijuana plant and you start
We're
eating it?
We're talking about intoxication.
That's what you do.
Wine can cause.
And then it doesn't affect
can cause you
your
to-
judgment?
Alcohol is naturally occurring.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, but the alcohol you drink, there is some process.
Yeah,
You know wine, how old it is. You know, wine is ancient.
You know, if you leave grapes out for like a long time, it
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
No, but
you're talking about.
But the alcohol
Yeah,
they
they do,
normally
but-
have is fermented. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a process.
But it doesn't ferment. Like it's alcohol which you can't drink.
yeah.
It-
No,
it's-
you're right. There is a process.
Vaporizes.
We're talking about wine. Let's say wine. You
Yeah.
know, wine is thousands of years old,
Yeah.
right? So there are no chemicals involved here. We're talking about
But
a process that.
there's a process.
Yeah, there's a process
for like
Of
that,
fermentation. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, that causes you to get drunk, right? So any intoxicant for that matter that changes your normal state of mind
Exactly.
is,
Your judgment.
we don't need to
It
experiment.
hampers your judgment
But-
when
yeah.
you take weed.
But
Don't
it-
tell me it doesn't.
It does.
doesn't- it
It
doesn't-
does change the state of mind. Completely agree. But you can use those substances which occur in nature to treat people.
100% agreed.
No, but
Agreed.
we are talking about medicine now. That's two different
Yeah,
things.
yeah, that's-
there's recreational
Yeah.
and there's medicinal. Most people who take weed don't do it for medicine, and you know that.
No, we use morphine. Look,
Yeah,
morphine for
yeah,
numbing the
maybe.
pains. What do you call it? Well, you know.
much medicine.
Yes. We use so many things that we use to treat patients.
Yeah.
That's a different matter. That's a completely
But
different
why
question.
would this be a different matter?
Because normal people don't need these medicines,
Yeah.
and it changes the
But
state of mind.
what is a normal person?
I think
normal
you're
person is
you're,
someone-
you're actually highlighting 2 points there. One is, as you already mentioned, using those drugs, okay, drugs that really gives you this euphoric feeling, the feeling of happiness and something like that in your mind when you take them, whether it's heroin or cocaine, whatever it might be. This is one recreational use, as you're already highlighting.
It's for
But,
fun.
but if it's a medicinal use,
unnecessary. Just
like
medicinal use is a different thing
But
altogether.
let's say a person has every day of that person is really difficult because there's a lot of manual labor involved and it has to do certain things for society. And then in the evening, the person feels really, really bad. It could be kind of medicine if that. It's not really recreational. It's really.
You know, that's
kind of
exactly
medicine.
the same excuse the people who take alcohol use. Exact same
Yeah.
excuse. Trust me. Everyone who tries to justify things which does mess around with your head, they try to use these excuses.
Or
You know the
people-
reason most of the countries have actually illegalized.
I thought
it's not legal.
Yeah.
Is because they know the effect and the harm it causes. Just because you want to take a medicine which the doctor hasn't prescribed to you by yourself, then it doesn't mean it's good for you. Okay, the reason the doctors don't prescribe these kind of medicines for everyone is because they say it's not necessary for you. If you want to get rid of stress, if you wanted to get rid of, anxiety or other, there are other ways.
Yeah,
Yes?
weed is really good for that. Actually.
Why are certain medicines like these medicines
The
control drug?
But the
Do
doctor
you, do, you,
won't.
do you know these medicines that we're talking about, like heroin and methadone and so on, cannabis? They are control drug by legislation,
Hard
like in
drugs,
this
yeah.
country. Yeah, they are called CDs, control drugs. The reason they are controlled from possession, sale, and supply is because of the abuse potential and the harm potential they carry. It's not because someone's going to get rich like this, because there's a lot of potential. In fact, many of the medicines.
But there's not so much.
Many medicines
Well, there's some.
are often they come off the shelf and become control medicines because they started realizing people are abusing them and harming themselves in the
Absolutely.
process. So they became controlled so that not everyone can have access to it. You have to go to a doctor to get a prescription. It becomes prescription only to get these medicines.
I don't think those people are that stupid, to be honest. I think
the
they.
doctors?
No, the citizens. The citizens.
You had me
The
worried
citizens are stupid.
No, they're not so stupid.
A lot of them are stupid. Trust me.
Yeah, but if you look
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
statistics, the most people actually die by alcohol, which is the only legal drug, and everyone else,
Actually, a lot of people just die because they breathe the smoke.
Are you
Yeah.
saying those
Are we going to now what?
Are you saying those drugs, recreational drugs like heroin and so on, are you saying people don't die from it? Or die in less?
They do.
No, let's take something light. You're talking about cannabis.
For example, nobody dies from cannabis.
Yeah, I agree. Under normal circumstances, people don't die from cannabis, right? Unless you drop 1,000 kg of cannabis on top of them, right? But smoking,
jump from buildings,
yeah,
then
yeah,
they
exactly. Yeah, by smoking, as far as we know, it doesn't. But it does
Mess around with your head.
absolutely.
I
There
agree.
are scientific
And your body.
journals. There are scientific journals. There is
Like
research that cannabis.
schizophrenia.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I-
You took my words. It is directly linked to causing schizophrenia in
Yeah.
people who are smoking.
And also the after effect. Like
Yeah.
imagine somebody takes. Sorry,
can
go
I?
on. Yeah, go on.
One thing I just had in mind. It's messing with your mind,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your mind is one system: input, output.
Yes.
And for example, LSD is referred as a drug that rewires your brain. So it's basically like you have a mountain in the winter and people sled down the mountain, and what LSD is basically doing, it's making the snow fall on the mountain, so all the tracks are gone, and you have the ability to rewrite those tracks. So in the end, you are there's no real effect from
You're
the
making it
outside.
sound like
It's
Winter
all
Wonderland.
inside you.
Not this
Is it
one,
legal?
not this one.
Well, this doesn't matter. Are we talking about
no,
society?
I want
or
to
religion?
raise a point from there.
It should be illegal.
If
It
it
should be
if it
legal.
is not legal,
Yeah.
do you think there's a reason for it?
Why it's not legal?
When you go and
Could
buy,
be. There's
when
always,
you
there's always a reason, but it hasn't been.
why is
to
it
give you an
controlled?
example,
The
if you want to
question, why
buy
is it controlled?
milk from a supermarket, do you have to have the license to
have
buy
to-
a milk?
My thing
Prescription.
with,
You don't need a prescription or a license.
I think with LSD
but
and
LSD
things like that though is you don't know how your body's going to react to it until you've taken it.
We talked about like
so
the
that's
static
why I
law.
think it's illegal because
No. I
it
think
can
there's no
affect people
reason to
differently.
make LSD illegal, and I think why
No
it's still,
reason? Are you
no,
sure?
No, yeah, that's not.
So you're saying they just for the sake of it, they made it illegal?
You see,
Are you serious?
any
They made alcohol just for the sake of
Any
it.
No,
chemical-
alcohol,
It's legal.
alcohol is legal even though they know it harms you, but not as much as LSD.
Yeah, and LSD doesn't harm you as much.
Okay.
It's
No,
it's
I
not
think-
addictive.
So the
think
things you
about-
do while
think
you're
about
having
the
LSD,
principle.
You need
could
to
do
be
that.
in a more
Yeah,
secure
good setting.
environment.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's
The
not
discussion,
easy
the
to
discussion,
control.
it can go on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
can
you need to look at the
But-
principle.
exactly
The basic,
keyword.
the fundamental reason as to why these things, they can be avoided.
Yeah.
You don't need. I mean, as a human, we can survive without.
For me,
these-
the principle would be we have one law which is legal, which makes people more aggressive, and then we have all the other drugs which make people less aggressive.
Right.
And I'm
but
like,
then they cause harm in other
hang
ways.
on.
They cause harm in other ways, right? The reason why
Which ways?
in Islam we have a very basic principle.
Yeah.
The basic principle is anything that alters your state of mind from normality to
but
abnormality.
if I go for a
I
run,
mean, this
if
is
I
what
really,
Khamar-
but if I go for a run, it does change my state
no,
of mind.
We're
Of
talking
course.
about
Because the
intake.
chemicals in my-
We're
talking
talking
about-
about
Yeah,
a
so
Change
substance.
your mind in a
It's not
negative way.
natural.
Okay.
Not in a
okay.
positive way.
Yeah. We're not talking about changing your mind from studying, reading. You become more intelligent. We're not talking about that. Okay. We're talking about. Oh, bad company can make you less intelligent. Yeah. Okay. We're not talking about that. We're talking about consuming substance that alters your normal state of mind. The Quran has given us a basic principle: don't touch. Don't touch. Why? Because when you touch, you start to see, socially speaking, and physically and spiritually, you see the effects. And they are never positive. They're never positive. They lead to destruction. Alcohol is the
alcohol is not
biggest
so good.
cause of murders and violence in this country. 80% of crimes, 80% of crimes are directly linked, violent crimes are directly linked to alcohol consumption, and they happen mostly on weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Why? Why?
And not only crimes, you should look at the breakup of the families, the divorces, the abuse.
I think you all agree to that anyway.
But what if you're someone who is, my thing is, what if you're someone who follows a religion but you actually drink and you commit?
You're
They
sinning.
shouldn't be doing that.
Then
They're
what-
not
You're sinning.
adhering.
You're
They're
sinning.
not
going by the
That's wrong.
principle of the
Why do
religion.
they follow this
No,
religion? if they
that just
don't
means
believe
it's
in it?
basically like saying
You
that
know?
why do you live in a society where
You want
there's
to join.
laws and people break laws?
You want to join.
So similarly in a religion also there are people.
She has got a
break the
very
laws
good
of
point
religion.
though.
Yeah,
There-
yeah.
I just
Why
don't
are
know
people
why
doing
people
that when?
They follow religion.
Yeah. So
which is why I wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to follow this religion if I'm going to do the opposite.
Because you need to really strictly follow those precepts and the principles of this religion. So agree in principle
It's the
that it should be the
religion.
case.
It's like a surgeon who is completely forbidden to have a pint before he operates.
Yeah.
A heart surgeon, okay, if he goes and
You shouldn't
if
drink
he
at work.
hides somewhere
Or-
and he
or a
takes
pilot,
he
or a
takes a
pilot.
sip or a pilot, let's say.
pilot.
Yeah, or a pilot, right? If he hides and takes a sip, right, he's breaking the rules.
Yeah.
He's still operating, but he's breaking the rules. Likewise, a Muslim, it is possible that he follows Islam or he professes belief in Islam but still does these things. It's possible.
And
It
he
shouldn't
knows
be
it's
possible.
I guess,
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, which I wanted to ask you earlier. In society today, what is your view with regards to abortion? Because this is a question. This is a question
somebody-
many people actually do
Because
not
it only happens in
do not
women,
even think
so-
about.
Yeah.
If you look at the statistics, the number of abortions that take place per day. Do you know how much they are per day?
I guess
Yes.
a lot, to be
But
honest.
doesn't matter how many
No,
there
no. Give
are.
me a number. Give me a number.
He's not going to ask you that question because you're a man.
I
No, I'm asking to
say
both of you. Doesn't matter.
a lot.
Because
like,
how much? Give me a rough guess.
oh, I don't know. How many people are in the UK? Like,
Not in the UK. I'm talking about the world.
oh.
Per
Every
day?
day? Every day?
Per day?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Quarter-
Yes.
Quarter million.
No, come on. They're not,
Not that
humanity
many.
is not that bad yet. I'm saying per day. So we are talking about
50,000 maybe?
125,000 per day. And that,
Abortions?
just
Oh my God.
just in a year, it can range from 40 to 50 million abortions
Yeah.
in a year. I'm talking worldwide, yeah? And this is from the World Health Organization, the stats. So the question is now, do you think it is morally right or wrong to kill an unborn child? And I think the age here, the gestation period is about 24 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's really
Yeah.
it's abortion to me. It's like there are two systems. So it's the male system which can generate sperm, and then the female system.
No. Abortion is fetus, not your sperm. Forget your sperm.
Yeah. No, I mean like there are two systems.
It's to do with the woman. She gives the right to abort or not to abort.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Generally,
But the men have a system that can generate sperm in our body, and then the women can take this sperm and create a human being from this.
You know how biology works, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about the abortion.
Yeah,
like-
we're talking about. I'm getting there. One
Okay,
second.
go on.
So since the man is able to initiate the process within the woman without the woman consenting to it.
Okay, that's called rape.
That's called rape.
Yeah.
That's called
Wait,
rape.
are you getting
But
somewhere with
also,
this?
it's not rape when we have sex and we agree.
Yeah, it's
I won't
non-consensual
ejaculate
rape.
inside the vagina,
Consent is not rape.
or
Oh, Johan, stop.
We-
Okay.
we-
No.
You know how
have to be
biology
that-
works, but carry on.
Yeah.
But I can make a process start without really having needing full consent on it.
Okay, let me
Let me
make
all
it
the
easy.
people should have the ability to
Yeah,
still
we are talking
abort.
about
I
where
think that's
where,
true.
where a
In a
woman wants to abort because it's an unplanned pregnancy. So,
So-
generally speaking,
Yeah.
most of the abortions that do take place are basically of
Unplanned.
that nature.
In
Yeah, I
my,
think so too.
I think it all comes down to circumstances. So
Okay, so there are certain circumstances which I can think of, like rape, like in the case of where there's a medical complexity, where
Yeah.
the life of either the mother or the child might be in danger.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about those exceptional rules.
Okay.
I'm talking about, like I said, the majority of the abortions which do take place from this 125,000 a day
Yeah.
are basically like unplanned pregnancies.
Yeah.
Like,
So where there
we
is
talked
a
about
good
alcohol and drugs
relationship.
earlier. Many of them, these kind of pregnancies are byproducts of this.
Yeah.
And what happens is, so my question was not whether how it happens or what are the circumstances or the exceptions. I'm talking about the general rule where there is an unplanned pregnancy
Yeah.
and the mother or the father, both of them decide that
So
they
you-
want to get rid of it, the
you
baby.
think
Do you
that
think
it
it's
can be
morally
stopped?
right or wrong? That's the question basically.
I don't know.
To abort.
I think.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
sure.
it's.
No, you can say as well, no problem.
I think I would like to have the choice to think about whether whether it's a good time to bring someone into a life that I might not be able to support them with. If I can't support myself right now, so I
Well,
could
that's
never
that's
support
the
somebody else.
that's what you need to think before
Yeah.
the whole thing, right?
Before
Before
you go
even getting
into-
involved into
okay.
the
Yeah.
Because the
not
thing is-
afterwards.
Because
Yeah.
who is paying for the price here? The child or the mother?
Yeah, a child.
Exactly.
I would say both. I would say both because
Both,
no
yeah.
mother is happy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
Unless
think
you're
my mum's
pure
okay.
evil. Yeah. Unless you're pure evil, if you're happy
Yeah.
having had a had an
This is
abortion.
where
Yeah.
Islamic principles comes
Yeah.
in.
I
It
get it,
gives
I
you the
get it.
framework clearly, why we should even come to avoid this kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the principle, Islam has a principle called prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you think about the issues of alcohol or gambling, the Quran doesn't say there's no benefit in it at all.
Yeah.
The Quran says they ask you about intoxication and gambling. And it says, tell them, in them both there are good and the bad, and the bad outweighs the good, so abstain from it.
What my mum says, she's like, the best way to not get pregnant is to abstain.
Absolutely,
and
or get
I
married
think-
if you want to have
Yeah,
children
but then-
and get married. But the thing is, because then it'll be planned, isn't it? Because if you're
Yeah.
married, then there's no reason.
And when you have a child, you should have a child with someone you plan to live for the
Yeah,
rest of your life.
exactly.
You know, because your children it's not only the birth, it's what happens afterwards. Your children need father. They need a father,
That's
and the
true.
father has to be present.
Yeah.
So the man you choose for your children has to be someone who is going to be there. And making sure that he becomes a father to children. Because
Yeah.
what's happening in our society here, a lot of people are fathering children and they're walking away.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah,
leaving
that's
mothers with kids. And the result is kids generally, they grow up without father or
Yeah.
fatherly figure in their life, and they are disturbed.
Yeah.
They're disturbed.
They have
They're
this
missing
gap
they're missing
in
a
there.
very important element of upbringing in their life, right?
Yeah.
So that causes many social issues in the minds of children, and when they grow up, you see the outcome. You see all these, knife crime, and
Yeah.
a lot of these kids
But-
are, they are absent fathers.
It's difficult. How do you choose that this person is going to be the person